Welcome on into the channel. Here comes another video your way. This one is all about ranking the archetypes. The archetypes are obviously a new addition into PGA Tour 2K23. So as I dive into this video, you guys have seen I just put out a video on how to level up quickly. I'm going to be running all of the tests on the data to get you guys the best results possible. So make sure you are subscribed down below. Hit that like button to pass this information around to everybody who wants it. Let's dive into each of these archetypes. So I spent all morning on live stream. If you want to check that out, you can see that in my previous videos. And essentially, I tried every single one of these archetypes out. I used the base settings before I really had anything equipped. And I kind of just tested out which one of these actually is beneficial and which one of these are completely useless. So I want to rank them from worst to top. So S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier. So let's first start off with C tier. C tier is the greensman. I used the greensman, and yes, people who struggle with putting can use this one, but I really found that is actually kind of useless because you can get away with putting pretty well with very low characteristics. For instance, I was using the Powerhouse build. I've also used the Woodsman build. Both of those have a 60s for putt path and putt weight. And I really didn't see that much of an effect. Obviously, putt weight had more an effect than putt path, but it really wasn't that big of a deal. So for an entire archetype to be built around two things that you can get away with by having low characteristics, it's definitely a C tier for me, and it's something that I don't recommend you building your archetype around, even though there are other things that may help. The second reason why is because of the lie range. So if you see here, the lie range is at 62. That is a massive issue because if you miss any of the fairways or you miss any greens in regulation, you get caught in the bunker, you get caught in the heavy rough around the edges, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. I struggled. Everything was between like 50% and 75%, and trying to get the ball out of those roughs and those bunkers with those lie penalties was a major issue. So archetype greensman, it would be a no-go for me, C tier. And obviously, this is just my opinion. People are going to have difference of opinions, but that's kind of how I go about it. Next up that I want to talk about is the Sculptor. I'd put that in the B tier list. Sculptor in the B tier list. Why is that? Similar to the greensman, it has a very low lie range. That's kind of a penalty, and it's primarily built around shot shaping. Now, shot shaping is very important because if you are chipping around the green, if you are hitting pitch shots, if you're hitting bunker shots, you need to spin the ball. You need to be able to pull down on the spin, and you need to be able to spin it with consistency. The issue is if you're playing on a higher difficulty, you're essentially reducing it so much that you're causing a huge issue with your shot shaping because your swing path and your timing are two of the most important characteristics in this game. And they essentially, a 64 timing when it comes to your Sculptor is not high enough. It creates a lot of your ball is going offline left and right because timing creates more hook and more slice when you miss your fasts and your slows. And if you guys know, timing is quite difficult in this game right now. So it's not something that I would highly recommend. It is something that you possibly could build around because it is a decent one. But unless you have a bunch of fittings to add on to your player, Sculptor is going to be in the B tier for me. Now I want to go into the A tier for me. That is going to be two options. Powerhouse is going to go into the A tier for me. A lot of people are probably going to disagree with the A tier for Powerhouse for me. I think it's really only beneficial if you are playing on a lower difficulty, such as if you're playing on a Pro-Am or you're playing on a Pro. I think that is actually going to be very beneficial to you because the meters are so much bigger there that you don't have to worry about your timing being off and your swing path being off. You essentially are just going to be able to mash it because the white bars are going to be very big and the penalties are going to be very reduced. You get a pretty good lie range at 70. You get shot shaping at 73. Transition at 76. So it is an A tier, slight B tier for me. I've been kind of caught in between. I don't really see myself using Powerhouse, and I'll kind of explain that a little on when I get to my S tier. The Woodsman is going to also be in the A tier. The A tier for me, this is a borderline S tier. It's kind of caught in the middle for me. Woodsman is a very good archetype to build off of. It has a lie range of 81, which is massive. That is a huge benefit to be able to get up and down if you miss fairways, if you miss greens, if you get in the bunkers, to have no issues whatsoever. It has really good shaping so you can spin the ball. It has really good transition, and it has a 70 power. If you get the Woodsman and then you get a couple fittings on top of it, you can get your driver average over 300 to 296, over 310, just with a couple fittings and the Woodsman build. So it completely blows the Powerhouse build out of the water. And that's why I would kind of put it towards the S tier. You know what? I'm going to actually put it in the S tier simply because the Woodsman build, the lie range with a couple fittings can be huge. And you just got to get a couple putting fittings and you're really good with the Woodsman build. The number one build that I would highly recommend, and a lot of people are probably going to disagree with me, but when you play this game and you play it on a master setting or a higher setting, you're going to understand that the rhythm build probably might be, and I think is, the best archetype in this game. And you're probably going to look at it and be like, well, it has a 60 power. But it has a 60 power with a couple fittings. I have my driver already up to 285 yards on average. I don't really need much more than 285 yards on average, especially when I'm getting an 81 timing and a 76 swing path, which means that my ball is straight. If you're somebody who's struggling with keeping your ball on line, the rhythm build is going to be the build for you, because even your fasts and your slows are still going to be pretty much online because your timing is so good. Now, where it does hurt, it is a very good putting stats, but it does hurt in the lie range. 67 lie range. So you're going to need to primarily fit all of your clubs with things towards your lie range. But you can essentially eliminate two of the major categories and the most important categories, which are timing and swing path. I'm building everything of my archetypes around the timing and swing path. And that is why, I mean, you just play the game. And I go out and I played the same course with all of the builds, saw same settings, same wind, everything. And I just saw how well I can shoot. And I was lights out with rhythm. I struggled with a couple other ones. I was decent with Powerhouse. I was very good with Woodsman. And then I backed it up with some live stream testing as well. And the results are pretty much in the results. The rhythm build for me with a couple fittings is primary archetype A, and that's pretty much what I'm going to go by. Obviously, these are just my opinions and what my findings are. You guys might be working differently based off of what your skill set is. So don't obviously hold me to this if your skill set is something where my skill set may not be. But leave a comment down below and let me know what archetypes you're building your players around right now. And I like how you can switch these at any point, and that's pretty much what it's all about. So hope you guys enjoy this video. Let me know your thoughts, feedback, and I'll catch you guys later.